We are going to be the generation that dismantles systemic racism. Powerful words from Martin Luther King Jr.'s granddaughter, who stood in the same place as her grandfather 57 years ago. Yolanda Renee King and thousands of people from across the country walking in the footsteps of those who marched before them, still feeling the same pain of injustice, saying the names of black men and women killed by police officers. This year's march fueled by the national reckoning on race. ABC's White House correspondent Rachel Scott has more from Washington.
They lined up before dawn for a march unlike any the nation's capital has ever seen. Temperature checks and masks, a new generation gathering at the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, where Martin Luther King Jr. told the country he had a dream 57 years ago.
No justice, no peace.
This march is a call to action. Their goal is to turn their outrage into long-lasting reform and to keep marching straight to the ballot box on Election Day.
In sweltering heat, thousands of Americans from all across the country marching to King's own memorial, sharing the pain of those who marched before them.
Shut it down!
I came here from Hartsville, South Carolina.
I came from Ohio for this march.
It's an amazing feeling that we're in Washington, D.C., from Milwaukee to Washington, D.C.
They walked for 24 days, nearly 800 miles, the same clothes still on their backs.
It's been an interesting walk. I mean, we've been called every name you can possibly think.
Tori Lowe set out from Wisconsin before a police officer shot Jacob Blake, telling me America is in a worse place than it was 57 years ago.
We have to get to a point in America where we address the sickness of America, which is racism.
Jacob Blake! Jacob Blake! Jacob Blake! Jacob Blake!
Blake's father here too, speaking as his son still lies paralyzed in the hospital.
Every black person in the United States is going to stand up. We're tired. I'm tired.
This year's march fueled by this moment of national reckoning on race, sparked by the killing of George Floyd.
I wish George were here to see this right now.
His brother breaking down, his sister taking the mic.
We have to be the change, and we have to be his legacy.
For Allison Williams, that call is a personal one.
I'm watching the tears swell in your eyes. This is very personal.
Yes, I have a son. I had to give him that talk. I had to sit him down to tell him what to do in case he gets stopped. He's been stopped multiple times, and every day I pray that God would put a hedge of protection around him. But it's time, you guys. We've got to vote. We've got to change this country now. We can do it now. But everybody has to take a part now.
Perhaps the most stirring words from the granddaughter of Martin Luther King Jr.
We are going to be the generation that dismantles systemic racism once and for all, now and forever. We are going to be the generation that calls a halt to police brutality and gun violence.
Yolanda Renee King with a rallying cry to the youth of the nation to take.
This is sort of what it looks like. This is our little device. That thing at the bottom is just to hold the threads in place because they're just like little fine wires. I mean, frankly, to sort of simplify this, what we're, I mean, it's more complicated than this, but it's, in a lot of ways, it's kind of like a Fitbit in your skull with tiny wires. So, and it's, yeah, so our current prototype, version 0.9, has about 1,000 channels, so that's about 100 times better than the next best consumer device that's available. And it's a 23 millimeters by 8 millimeters. It actually fits quite nicely in your skull because your skull is about 10 millimeters thick. So it fits, it goes flush with your skull, it's invisible, and all you can see afterwards is that there's a tiny scar. And if it's under your hair, you can't see it at all. In fact, I could have a Neuralink right now, and you wouldn't know. Maybe I do. So, and it's also got all the things that you would expect to see, the sensors you'd expect to see in a smartwatch or a phone, like notional measurement, temperature, pressure. So there's actually a lot of functions that this device could do related to monitoring your health and warning you about a possible heart attack or stroke or other damage, as well as sort of convenience features like playing music. You can do a lot. It's sort of like if your phone went at your brain or something. Yeah, maybe that's not a great analogy. Anyway, so it's also inductively charged. So it's charged in the same way that you charge a smartwatch or a phone. And so you can use it all day, charge it at night, and have full functionality. So you would really, it would be completely seamless, and yeah, no wires.
Chadwick Boseman has died following a 4-year battle with colon cancer. He was also known for his roles as Jackie Robinson in 42 and James Brown, Get On Up. His publicist says Boseman died at his home in the Los Angeles area with his wife and family by his side. Chadwick Boseman was 43 years old.